What's your full name?
Kathleen Peters, formerly Pellegrin.
Where and when were you born?
I was born in Suamico in 1932.
How did this area change over time?
Oh, so much. When I was born, of course, the whole area where I was born was all farmland. There were no houses, and now, there was the farmhouses, but now that whole area, actually the farm that I was born on, there are at least 150 houses. All we had was just a little corner grocery store, and otherwise you had to go to Green Bay. And
Do you like this area better back then or now?
I liked it then very much because I came from quite a large family, and so we never had wondered what to do. I didn't know the word bored until I think my children were around. And so, but I do like the area now because my children and my children's children, quite a few of them live right here too. So I like it both ways.
What's your heritage?
My heritage is mostly German. The name Pellegrin is a combination Belgian-German name, and it's very uncommon. And but my father's relatives were mostly German.
What were holidays and birthdays like?
Holidays and birthdays, well, Christmas and Easter were almost the same as what you have, except, of course, Santa did everything in my day. He trimmed our tree, and the Easter Bunny, even if it was nice, hid the eggs outside. And other than that, we still had the candy and the things like that. But we did, I think, make a little bit more of like the 4th of July than now. We would always go on a picnic, and for us, living on a farm, that was a pretty big deal. And other than that, I think we celebrated the holidays very much the same as you do.
What were houses like?
My house on the farm that I grew up in has not changed very much at all. It's still there, and they did remodel it some, but I was one of the lucky ones. Even though I'm that age, I always had a bathroom in the house, and running water and electricity. So maybe some of the other ones that you interviewed, lacked those things, but I always had indoor plumbing.
Can you talk to us about what the civil rights movement was like, or at least what you experienced that maybe showed why it wasn't necessarily equal for everyone before the civil rights movement?
The only thing that I remember about the civil rights, and this was when I was a young person, my grandmother lived in Milwaukee. And of course in Milwaukee they had a lot of blacks. We didn't feel it around here at all because I just didn't see any. But when we went down there, they would have special bathrooms for the blacks. There was even special bubblers or fountains that the whites could drink and the blacks couldn't. And well, even taking taxis and they just weren't allowed to do any of that. They couldn't go to the same hotels. But I know that if my grandmother was quite prejudiced, and we would go to some place where they didn't have separate bathrooms, but there was paid bathrooms at that time. And I think it was a nickel or a dime. She said, here's your nickel, you use that one because the blacks won't be using that one because they can't afford it. And I always remembered that because, and she was a wonderful woman, but she was quite prejudiced. So, and I don't think it filtered down. I don't think I am. I hope.
What was it like growing up during World War II?
It was difficult in a way because gas was rationed, sugar, meat, shoes, what else? And I remember going to visit my aunt, and I came home and I was so excited because I had a new cookie recipe, and I gave it to my mother, and she said, "Oh, that takes way too much sugar. We can't use that much." And even though we were kind of lucky because we did have a large family, and you were allowed X amount for each person and X amount, of whatever. But the gas also, for a lot of people it was. For us living on a farm, you had an extra card. And it was a card. It was like a little book with little stamps in that if you went to the grocery store, then you had to give for X amount of, and coffee was rationed too. What affected me the most was the sugar. Of course, because I was, 12 years old. It didn't seem to last all that long. Well, tires were rationed too, so if you had a flat tire and if you didn't have a new one, you were in trouble. You had to go and scrounge up one from your neighbor or something.